Welcome to the channel. In this video, we'll discuss what documents and information you will need to speak with financial institutions. Let's first start with knowing where everything is located. If you don't know what financial institutions the deceased had, you are going to need to hire a forensic accountant to investigate and discover where all of their accounts are. At the time of this video, the cost can range from $300 to $500 an hour and can get expensive to be upwards of $5,000 to $15,000 depending on the search. Therefore, it is best if the person left some form of breadcrumbs and provided details of their accounts in a safe place, like a home safe or a safety deposit box with other key documents, such as the will that names you as the executor of the estate. For the most part, you will need the following documents to work with any financial institution to make claim to any bank account, brokerage account, or interact with any credit card company, insurance company, or annuity firm. Those are the death certificate, their social security number, a copy of their ID, a copy of your ID as the executor of the estate or the beneficiary to the account, and the latest version of their will before they passed. Now, these are the basic information required for speaking with any financial institution. Without knowing or having these, you will not get very far. If you have access to their account numbers and balances, that will be helpful, but it is not required in most cases because the institution will be able to look them up using their social security number. However, if you have any questions related to the account, this is where you will most likely need to get the letter of administration or the letter of testimony that you, as executor to the estate, will receive as part of the probate process. Therefore, it will be critical to know if you need the funds now or not when contacting the institution, so you know whether or not you need to wait until the probate process completed to get access to the funds. Now here's the thing. If the accounts had POD or a POD designation on them, and you know the beneficiary details, there is no reason to wait to claim those funds. You can put in the claim right away with that institution. What the institution will most likely require, in addition to the information I just mentioned, will be a notarized letter of instructions. What this means is you writing a letter providing them with all the details of how you want them to handle the transition of the funds to you. This includes mailing address details and bank information for depositing funds or moving funds to the beneficiary's accounts or writing them a check. If the beneficiary is a minor, then the parent will need to assist with the claim by providing a copy of the minor's birth certificate and or proof of guardianship besides a copy of that means the parent or guardian's ID accompanied by the letter of instructions and death certificate. Most life insurance and annuity companies understand that this is a challenging and a quick need situation. They may permit you to speak with them over the phone and then email or fax, yes, 20th century technology, copies of the key information to help them instead of mailing them out, which, as you know, or you might know, mailing may take anywhere between 2 to 3 weeks or a month to fully process the paperwork that you are sending, and then another few weeks or so to process any claim further. Some life insurance and annuity companies may not even require the death certificate, as they will just work with you to contact the funeral home used for the service to help you start the claim process while you're waiting on the death certificate, which can take anywhere between 3 to 6 weeks to receive. As you are going to potentially need to do this a bunch of times, I would suggest making at least 5 to 6 copies of the key 5 documents I've just mentioned, so you have them available besides a digital copy of them for emailing over to some financial institutions. Additionally, if and when you determine you need to start the probate process, Make also a couple of copies besides a digital copy of the letter of administration or letter of testimony once you receive it after completing the probate process. You might now be asking, what does the letter of instruction look like? Don't worry about that. I'm going to provide a link in the description to generic versions of ones that I've personally used to help me while being the executor of the estate. It is important to note that financial institutions such as banks will become extremely difficult to work to retrieve any monies from accounts that do not have TOD and POD designations. You will spend hours on the phone talking with them and mailing documentation to them in some cases, which is why I mentioned in a prior video to get priority mail envelopes from the post office. Also note, any account without TOD and POD designations will most likely be made out to the estate of the deceased, which means you will need to have gone through the probate process already so you have an account open as an estate account to deposit these funds upon receipt of these checks. Some financial institutions will be nice and work with the named executor or executors of the will to have checks made out to either the executor's name, the deceased's name directly without stating the estate of, or the deceased's name care of the executor. If any of these are options with the institution, this will be great to avoid any delays with funding the estate while working through the probate process. Hopefully this video gives you some insights into these topics, and now you have a good starting point to fund the estate and transition funds out of the accounts of the deceased's name. I will have supplement videos regarding specific types of institutions to help with some of the more finer points. As always, like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone you think can benefit from this information. Also, feel free to leave any comments and I will try to answer them the best I can. Depending on what comments you might leave, it might require me to make additional videos to explain them, so feel free to ask away.